So, welcome to the LawyerFair Daily Podcast. It's Andrew Weaver here, and I'm going to say something that I probably wouldn't have said a few years ago, but the legal services industry is hot. It is hot. There is so much innovation going on, and investment, new entrants, and deregulation that it really is quite an exciting space now to be involved in. And one of the reasons that it's exciting are some of the people that are involved in the kind of legal tech and legal innovation space with some great ideas. And one of those people has joined me today, Serena Manzoli. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
Not at all. Thank you for joining us. Now you're going to give us a whirlwind trip through some of your ideas and projects you're working on, Serena. So why don't you fire away and tell us what you're doing?
All right. Well, I'm working on a couple of things at the moment. One of those things is Wildcat, which is my tech startup. And what is Wildcat? Wildcat is going to be a legal search engine for people who are not lawyers. We are still in the process of developing the product. I will let you know when it will be ready. But I can tell you a couple of things on how this product works and why I decided to focus on the lawyers. First, I decided to focus on the lawyers because non-lawyers have huge problems when they are looking for the law online. They have three kind of problems, basically. One, they don't know how to look for the law because they don't know anything about the law. They don't know the number of the law. They don't know the legal concept, so they have no idea of how to look for the law online. They look like they are on Google. They look for the problem they are experiencing, but of course it doesn't work if you are on a legal database. And this is the first kind of problem. The second problem is that once they find something, they are not sure that everything they need is there because they don't have the helicopter view on the law, like a lawyer could have. And the third problem is that they don't understand legalese. So even when they find what they need someone else to explain what they just found. So I'm trying to solve this kind of problem with Wildcat and addressing non-lawyers. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to do another thing on my blog, which is online. So the Wildcat is not ready yet, but the blog is there, and you can read it if you want.
What's the timescale with Wildcat, Serena? When do you think that's going to
Well, I'm hopefully in a few months you could be able to see something working. Okay. But the Wildcat blog is there, and what I'm trying to do on a Wildcat blog is something different from what other legal tech startups are doing. It's not going to be a marketing tool to address the audience interested in Wildcat. It's going to be something different. It's going to be basically just a space where I talk about the things that are.
Serena, I've lost contact with you. Are you still there?
There, yes.
Sorry, we lost a bit of contact there. Just go back on that sentence again.
Yes, sorry. What I want to say is that the Wildcat blog is not going to be my marketing tool. Like a blog usually is a marketing tool for startups, for tech startups. I'm going to use it in a quite different way. I'm going to use it as a place to talk about the things that are interesting for me. And I want to say if I can elicit some kind of reaction from the audience. In other words, I want to say what kind of people gather around the content rather than the other way around. So I take the freedom to talk about very, you said creative, I would say hyper abstract things, like, I don't know, connections between music and law, or connection between design and law. And I want to see what happens. Are people interested in these kind of topics? And can we learn something about the law if we try to study the connection that music and law have as two different cultural areas? Just to give you a feeling of the things I talk about in the Wildcat blog. We learn law like it was, very by studying rules. So in a very formal way, very top down. What could happen if we learn the law like we learn music, just by doing? Can we get something more? Can law get something somehow more interesting? Can we get people, normal people, interested in the law? This is a kind of topic that I address. Another thing that is interesting.
But Serena, let me stop you there for a second, because
Yeah.
I do find the kind of hyper abstract thinking and combination of things like music and law really quite fascinating. And
Yes.
I don't really know where it goes, whether it goes anywhere or not. But it's an interesting subject to talk about. I mean, give me a practical view of how you see music and law relating to each other in a way that would improve legal services in a way that it doesn't do now. Just give me a quick hypothetical on how you see that developing.
Well, I was reading this article by a music critic, Bernard Holland. He used to write for the New York Times. And he said something very interesting. He said, what if we study the history of law by looking at the history of music? Because both music and law are, cultural product of societies. And so can we get some insights by looking at the history of music rather than only focusing on the law? And he said, look, in the 18th century, in music, we had Mozart, we had Bach, we had Handel. All these musicians had very distinctive styles. They made very complex and very abstract music.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing that maybe is worth studying more is that almost in the same period, in the early 19th century Europe, we started seeing civil codes. So it was the era of civil codes. And a code is an instrument, is a legal instrument, which is very abstract, very complex, but at the same time very symmetric, exactly as Bach music in a way. So what does this happen, and what can tell us about the history of law that we didn't know? But of course, there are many other connections that could be exploited. I told you before, what if we try to learn law in a different way rather than by studying rules? What if we try to learn the law like we learn the music, just by playing, just by doing? It's gonna be more interesting, or it's gonna be easier, or it's gonna be something else. So there are just ideas there. I wouldn't say they're I don't dive deep into any of these topics.
There's nothing.
But
There's nothing definitive there, but it's throwing out some ideas, isn't it? That creates an interesting conversation about as I say, a profession that has historically been extremely opaque and difficult for the man in the street to kind of understand or get involved with.
Exactly. Because we study the law just by looking at the law.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be, if you pass me this term, it's gonna be very onanistic. We look at the law and we study the law just by looking at laws or rules and stuff. What if we study the law by looking at something which is apparently disconnected, like music or design or art? Can we learn something by analogies? Are there some similar patterns that can be exploited and can be used in a world which is apparently very alien by music, like law? Yeah, I understand. It's very abstract, but I hope to, elicit a reaction on some of the audience and have a talk.
I think it's fascinating stuff, frankly, in what can be a very dry subject. So listen, the Wildcat, now that's Wildcat, isn't it? WILDCAT. That's the platform.
Exactly. Yes.
And is that the address for the blog, Serena?
The address for the blog is blog.thewildcat.co.uk.
Okay. All right, listen, thanks so much for joining us today. Fascinating subject, and good luck with everything.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks a lot. That was the LawyerFair Daily Podcast. Thanks for listening.